Welcome. In this video, we will present illustrated component libraries in Automation Studio of all types, whether for electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, or PLC boards. To access the Illustrated Components library, we will enter our Library Explorer and select this icon. The first library we will find is the Library of Electrical Components in the world of aeronautics. The library of electrical components in the aeronautics world includes elements that are only compatible with diagrams that respect NEMA standards. We find specific components used in the aeronautical industry in the electrical field, such as different types of connectors and lines. Symbologies that allow to represent specific aircraft parts or objects such as joints, as well as control elements such as complex switches or specific sensors for movement, inertia, airflow, or pressures. In addition, we find sound and light signaling instruments, different types of motors, batteries, and transformers, and many other elements related to electrical power. The Electrical DC library has different illustrated representations with visuals that allow us to associate very easily the components used in a diagram with elements of a circuit, facilitating the comprehension and allowing us to make assemblies and simulations as if it were a workbench. It includes electrical components, from capacitors to batteries, resistors, switches, light bulbs, and many others. A library of PLC input and output cards are also available. This library contains both analog and digital cards. The cards can be used in electrical diagrams for either IEC or NEMA standards. They can be used in SFC schematics, graph set schematics, or ladder diagrams. In the Motor Control Renewable Energy library, we will find environmental components that represent the energy sources we extract, and other natural parameters that affect the system such as wind, temperature, or irradiance. We also have mechanical components to represent wind turbines and their internal operation. In addition, we have a section of electrical components such as solar panels, batteries, and also passive or other elements that allow us to represent the electrical consumption. All this is represented in an illustrated way, facilitating the understanding and its use in the projects. The next library will be the Residential Electricity Library. This illustrated library allows to build very quickly residential electrical circuits using common components that users are familiar with, using the AC/DC project template. This library provides clear and simplified visual representation of residential electrical circuit assembly and design processes. In addition, this library includes components designed to comply with European standards, making it possible to build European residential electrical circuits quickly and efficiently. In the hydraulic section, the hydraulic library cylinder load offers schematic representations of double-acting cylinders, pistons, and piston rods with detailed illustrations of loads, displacements, or pressure resistances. These representations include tilt, friction, or pulley systems, allowing a clear and precise visualization of the operation of hydraulic systems and their resistance to pressure. This library is only compatible with hydraulic diagrams. In the hydraulic section, we also have a library of illustrated components. The Illustrated Hydraulics library allows users to use components with realistic images to improve their hydraulic system connection skills. Each component is shown as it looks in an actual assembly, making it easy to identify and compare each component to an installation. This helps users easily recognize the components in their projects and better understand how the hydraulic system is assembled and functions. It can be used in any type of standard project. A hydraulic library with cross-section view is also available. The cross-sectional hydraulic library allows the same functionalities as the illustrated library, but represents the operation of the elements from the inside with a schematic cross-section view. The representation facilitates the visualization of the internal pressures, which is especially useful in didactic contexts to clearly understand the operation of each component. We can also create our own circuit using hydraulic components with animated cross-sectional view during simulation. A new library of illustrated components for instrumentation and process control diagram. The PNID library includes components such as tanks, transmitters, pumps, valves, and controllers, allowing to illustrate universal control philosophies and data transmission protocols. An illustrated library of electrical components for single-line connections is also available. This illustrated library allows us to create high-voltage distribution network circuits using illustrated versions of the required elements. These diagrams show in a very visual and simple way how the components behave under different conditions, facilitating their understanding and the design of complex systems. A library of illustrated PLCs is available. The Illustrated PLC library allows to visualize the PLC boards with their inputs and outputs, showing the appearance of the board, which facilitates the installation planning, avoiding possible errors in the location of ports according to the specific PLC brand and model used. The pneumatic libraries are separated in two. The first one is the Illustrated library, which includes components such as valves, actuators, motors, and others. We also have this same library but with a cross-section views, which allows us to observe the pressures and operation inside each component in a more visual way. For more information about Automation Studio software, we invite you to visit our website. Thank you very much for watching this video.